Imagine, if you will, a doorway into another dimension, another universe where you get to explore another psyche. Now imagine if you could actually go through that doorway and see immeasurable destruction, cute videos, and sit down and chat with just a nice guy and a fantastic actor. That's what we're doing on today's edition of your weekly tech update. Hi everyone, happening later in this week's What The National Science Foundation has released a video taken at the moment that the Arecibo Radio Observatory's cables failed and allowed its massive instrument platform to crash into the dish below. And of course, we'll wrap up the program with our weekly escape from reality in this week's Moment of Joy. But first, we dedicate the first half of our show to a talk that I had with a great actor that was kind enough to chat with me from his home in Vancouver, British Columbia. On the program today, I talk with an actor that keeps showing up in some of my favorite shows. Really. Over the past 24 years now, he's played Young Bill Mulder in The X-Files. He was Anubis in Stargate SG1, and I even saw him in episodes of The Twilight Zone, Supernatural, and one of my new favorite shows too. He popped up in Arrow as well. Today, we find out how he's been coping with COVID and what he's working on now. Welcome to your weekly tech update, Mr. Dean Aylesworth. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, Stargate SG1, pretty much my favorite show these days. It's that one show that I always go back and rewatch. And your performance is awesome. You got to tell me, how did you feel when you got the role of Anubis?
Ray, thank you, number one, for saying that. Yeah, that's really cool. How did I get the role, or how did I feel about it? I was pretty elated. To be able to step into such an iconic character was, the truth is that I was naive of the character and of the show and all the rest of it at the time. And I walked into the audition with very limited amount of information, but very poignant. My casting director was really cool. He walked me through it. He said, "Look, this is a character that is established 8 years previous to you showing up now. You're going to be like the first incarnation in human form, and let's get this right." And that's kind of what I did. And when I got it, I elated, like I said, but naive as to the weight.
So before you had the introduction, before you got in front of a camera to do your first Anubis, did you go and rewatch stuff? Did you check it all out, or did you actually go into it naive?
No, I looked at things. I of course, I took the time of looking at the series as an arc. I went all the way back.
Did you get hooked on it like many of us had at that time?
I totally did. And I know so many people that are on the show that I didn't know were on the show. It was like, I'm so hooked. I'm glad that you are too.
Absolutely. And again, it's an honor. It's one of my favorite characters as well, because he comes from being ascended and coming back down, and you played him as the first human form after he was ascended. And I don't know if he got banished from Ascension or what happened exactly, but it was just a wonderful thing to see him retake human form, and then of course cause more chaos in the universe.
Right? Oh, such a pleasure. Oh, such a pleasure. And there's so much more to this character. Let's see more of Anubis and Stargate and MGM.
Absolutely. We're all pushing for it, and I'm going to put this out to everybody as well so they can see your support for it. I think we're all ready for a new Stargate series. And if Stargate was to come back, I understand you were, quote, the human shell of Anubis, and, well, you got killed in the episode, and it got handed off to the next actor. But this is Stargate, and we seem to see the same actors portray many different characters along the way. Both in Stargate SG1, a bunch came back for Atlantis. If we have a new series, do you have any idea, if they were to ask you back, what character you might like to play, or what type of character?
I would be very, very, very honored just to even be considered. But Anubis would be sort of the end all be all kind of thing. Of course, I would come in any form, and would be flattered to do it. But Anubis would be the greatest. He's the Himalayas. He's Everest.
There you go. Now you have a penchant for playing the bad guy, and I must say you play a really good bad guy. So if they did ask you back and say that you couldn't play Anubis, but you could play a good or a bad guy in the Stargate universe, what would you choose?
I would choose the bad guy. Yeah. I believe that
I could have guessed.
The best foil in regards to the moral of any given story. And maybe I take that on only as a brave shield for their horror that they perform. But I think that's how I feel about it.
Lovely. Well, and as you know by now, you do play a good bad guy. Was this something by design that you kind of went into, or did you get cast as the bad guy early on and kind of put into that role?
I don't know. It's always sort of been the red herring guy. The guy he could be, and that's the one that I've been just as far as I'm concerned, continually playing, right? That you don't have to, I'm not awful, but
Absolutely. Well, and I believe, yes, the bad guy makes the good guy better.